Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to another instalment of the Grayscale. Now, this is the series where we're going to be weighing up the last Chelsea match, that being Chelsea 2, Lincoln City 1, and we'll go through, do our 7 points, and weigh them up on the scale from good to bad, and at the end, you guys can vote in the comments for your grade. Now, despite the kind of worrying nature of the actual performance yesterday, I think there's a lot of things, a lot of positive things that we can take from the performance, and the majority of the points I will be saying are in the good box today. We do have a few things in the other boxes too, which is not always the case, but we do have some things in there. And before we begin, I would just like to say I apologise for my voice. I'm still feeling the effects of my illness, but I have to get this out. So I'm recording this in the morning, the morning after the game. So hopefully we can push through and have a good discussion in the comments about this game as well, because I think there are a few things that went well for us. I think what we want to kind of talk about players that put in good performances. The first player that comes to my mind when it comes to good performances is Wesley Fofana. Now, I think that he not only played really well in the game, obviously defending, out of all of the defenders we had on the pitch at the time, I think that he was obviously the best one. He was winning his aerial duels, he was obviously getting back and making recovery tackles. But the main thing which I really want to commend him for is the fact that this is the first time in a long time that he has completed a full 90 for Chelsea. And this is directly after he played a couple of days ago as well, so it really seems like he's got his fitness back in check. And this was also a really good performance after he got absolutely clattered by his own teammate, and unfortunately had to go through all of the concussion protocols and stuff. But yeah, really good performance from Fofana today, and he really showed why that kind of partnership of Levi Colwill and him was the go-to kind of starting two centre-backs at the time when he was fit. And I think that now that he's showing his fitness and he's, going to be able to hopefully stay fit for a long extended period, hopefully he can fit right back into the team and partner someone else, maybe like Tosin. I prefer to see him next to Tosin, in all honesty. I said, long may his form continue. He's been doing pretty good ever since he's come back, so nice to see him back on the pitch. And yeah, let's hope he can stay fit for more than 2 weeks. From one centre-back to another, we'll move into the medium box, and I'm going to give it to Trevor Chalobah. Now, I don't think he was particularly good in the first half. I think that the goal we conceded is partly his fault. I say partly because it's not entirely his fault. And in general, these last few weeks, he has just been really shaky. And this was, a chance for him up against a weaker side, no doubt, to really cement himself and say, hey, you know what, I'm not utterly terrible at playing football. And he did that to an extent in the second half, which is why I put him in the medium and not into the bad box. I think he redeemed himself a little bit in the second half. I think he played much better in the second half than he did in the first. But that first half performance, again, it's really worrying. Some of the things that he does, some of the duels that he loses, some of the passes that he tries to complete and doesn't get off. In comparison to the man who was standing next to him in Wesley Fofana, he just looked like a completely level below. And again, this is after a few games in a row now where he's started to have these shaky moments. And maybe he is lacking a bit of confidence at the moment, and that might be kind of an issue for him. But it's just, I think the goal that we actually concede is a really good example of just the nature of the things that he's doing at the time. Obviously, it's a bad pass from Enzo Fernandez, there's no denying that, but he really needs to switch on in those moments and, be able to recover for his teammates' mistakes at times. And he just really doesn't react to this ball at all. He stands there, expects the ball to come to him, doesn't see the player running off his back who steals in ahead of him and gets the ball, and then obviously we concede. At the Premier League level, that type of, lack of effort in a way and like lack of recognition of danger is not going to do well for us in the future. So it's a bit concerning, but as I said, I do think in the second half he, as did most of the team, I think that he really kind of stepped up in the second half and played much better than he did in the first. So I'm not going to be too harsh on him. I will be putting him in the medium box today. However, there is one player that is going into the bad box, and I don't think there's any way of kind of, defending him at all in this. It's got to be Philip Jurgensen. This was one of the, I'm not exaggerating here, this might have been one of the worst goalkeeping performances I've ever seen in a Chelsea shirt. I don't think he made a single save in the game. You can fact check me on that. I'm not sure if he made a single save in the game. He was really loose with him, trying to come out for crosses. Every single time he came out for a cross, he missed it. It seemed like he was obviously, causing so many issues at the back by his, refusal to go for things at times and, refusal to command his box. And I said this on my watch along last night that like the thing which worries me about Jurgensen is that he seems to be good at passing the football, and anything other than that he is just not good at. It's quite worrying when we are missing Sanchez, who a lot of people obviously have a lot of criticism for. In truth, I personally am a bit more of a defender of Sanchez, but it's a bit worrying when Sanchez is not in the team and somehow the goalkeeping gets worse. It's genuinely shocking, and it's kind of sad because we do have up and coming goalkeepers like Gaga Solanina, who's playing as our third choice. We have Ted Kurd, who could have played in this game, who's from the youth team. Obviously, we have Mike Penders out on loan at the moment. And it's really worrying that all three of those, to me, would have been a better option to be playing in this game. Obviously, Penders can't, but you know what I mean. And I think this is kind of, again, a result of lots of games in a row now where every single time Jurgensen is kind of on the pitch, he seems very shaky when it comes to actually doing, the goalkeeping part of goalkeeping. The only time when he really seems calm is when we're in possession and he's passing it out from the back. Apart from that, everything seems a bit panicky. He doesn't seem like he's got again, the confidence to come out and claim things. And again, the punches that he was trying to do in the game last night were very, very poor. The same thing goes for the game against United. He was doing the same thing at United, and it's really worrying that after so long, and we've obviously been saying we've been needing a good goalkeeper for many years now, and though I do think we've improved in that department with getting Sanchez in some good form, it's very worrying that our backup goalkeeper is basically not even at this League One level at times, because he really wasn't like able to compete against their forwards and their centre backs as they were doing all of their long set pieces and long throws and stuff. He never really seemed comfortable at all throughout the game, and that didn't improve in the second half when everyone else kind of improved. He still was shaky at the back, and we got a few lucky breaks that we didn't really concede, and he was kind of had to be bailed out by Chalobah on the line or Hato on the line or whoever. It's kind of worrying that, again, if we get, for example, an injury to Sanchez or a red card to Sanchez that keeps him out of certain games or what have you, that we're going to have to rely on a keeper that genuinely cannot goalkeep and can only use his feet. Now we move into a man that, in recent times anyway, has kind of lost the ability to use his feet, but has recently started to kind of get back into his form and has really kind of showed that like the kind of levels that we expect from him. And I think that he was very, very good last night. It's Malo Gusto, another one of the French defenders. I think he really came up trumps yesterday, playing in that kind of right centre mid role. He was the one that was kind of trying to make things happen. He was always the one that was available when the ball went to that right hand side. He was trying to get down the wing, get the crosses in. He was trying to support his right winger at times. But the thing that really impressed me was his ability to kind of break away from the press at times. He was really, really kind of trying to receive the ball with his back to goal and then turn around and get past people and try and get up the pitch and kind of drag us up the pitch, which you kind of need in those positions. On the opposite side with Enzo, it didn't really happen as much because obviously Enzo is not that type of player. And if he is going to be playing in this, midfield role, I think that this kind of right centre mid role suits him so much better than the deeper kind of right centre defensive mid role that did when he was playing there and he was inverting. This new inversion where he's allowed to kind of bomb up and down the pitch, which is what he's very good at doing, suits him much better. And again, I think defensively he was pretty good as well when he had to come back and do his kind of work there. Obviously, he was on the same side as Chalobah, so he was having to make up for a lot of kind of, and again, a lot of issues that Chalobah was doing. He was kind of mopping up. So I don't want him to seem like he's going unnoticed because, yeah, Malo Gusto had a pretty good performance yesterday. And I said, I think he's been doing this for a few kind of, a few weeks in a row now, or since that one game where he played for France, he played really well. He's kind of been playing pretty consistently well again since then. Now we move into another medium, and this might shock you guys for me to be putting him in here, and I think some people would probably expect him to be going in the good box, but it's going for Tyreek George. And the reason why I put him in medium is because, like normally, I always kind of judge things on, does a player have goal contributions first? If they have goal contributions, that usually bumps them up into the good box. And then it kind of boils down to, did they get goal contributions and have a good performance, or get a goal contribution and have a bad performance? Now, I think that he did very, very well in the second half. Obviously, his goal is a bolt from the blue, a bit of a lucky deflection, but again, a good strike, very pure strike, and he gets us our goal and gets us back into the game and sets the tempo as soon as that second half starts. In general, I think in the second half, his play and his hold-up play and his link-up play improved drastically. But I just can't defend that first half performance. He was non-existent. It basically felt like we were playing 10 men versus 11 at times, and he was not getting on the ball at all. And for the entirety of the first half and throughout the halftime break, and again as we were kind of starting the second half, the entirety of my chat and I were having a discussion about why he's being shoehorned into striker and why we're not playing Shimweka. And to be honest, when Shimweka did come on, and I'm not going to talk about him today, unfortunately, he didn't really get enough game time for me to justify doing that. When Shimweka did come on, I felt like his hold-up play was actually much better than George was. And it kind of shows the difference between, having an academy player who's played at striker his entire kind of career and an academy player that's a left winger that's being shoehorned into a position that doesn't suit him. Now, I'd love to see George play, but it's just kind of annoying seeing him, being played in a position that's clearly not natural to him and clearly kind of, he has to be told specific kind of instructions of what to do at half time to be able to actually do his job. That being said, of course, he gets us the goal, so he gets us back into the game. So I can't put him in the bad box at all. I will put him on the upper echelons of this medium box because I feel like he's close to getting into the good box. But again, that first half performance I just can't excuse. The rest of the points, the last 2 points, are going to both into the good box. The first one of those is going to be Facundo Buonanotte. This guy has made a few cameos in recent games, and in every single time I've seen him, he's been very, very good. His ability to kind of pick up balls in space and then escape from pressure and keep the attack going at times and help us retain the ball is genuinely second to none. He's so good at doing this. He plays the entirety of the game, and he's again the player in the middle that kind of we couldn't really substitute because he was playing so well and so consistently, getting to be that player that can link up from midfield to attack. And obviously in the end he does get the winning goal, and that's the main reason why he's in here. And the goal itself is a very good one. Again, it's an assist from Tyreek George, and he dances his way into the box, and under all of that pressure in the box, the close dribbling that he does and then the finish as well, which is very, very good to get it away, shows that, we do finally have a player that can come in and be that backup for Cole Palmer if we need him to. It was a bit of a question mark when we didn't get Xavi Simons in the summer window, but now we've kind of got a player that has proven that, he can actually play in those roles and do good performances, because I think this has been his third performance in a Chelsea shirt, and every single time I've seen him, I've been impressed with the touches that he has and, the interplay that he has, and now he's actually getting goals as well and goal contributions, and long may it continue. Hopefully he can get some substitute appearances in the coming weeks as well. Now the final point is going into the good box, and this might shock you because of how poor this start of the game was. I'm going to be putting in Enzo Maresca because I spoke about in previous kind of grayscales how I was upset with recent times of him, not making substitutions that make impact, with not doing, not trying to change the game and kind of being a bit stubborn. Clearly at half time, he got the hairdryer out and got these players into gear, because we came out in the second half looking like a completely different team. I'm glad that he, of course, allowed some of the youth players to get off the bench and play. It's important for them to do that. And in general, in the second half, he really made a tactical change by saying, hey, we're not playing this three at the back anymore. We're pushing Yoel Hato into the centre mid position as well as Malagusto. We're going to play that 2-2-4-2 and we're going to win the game. And that's something I want to see from our coach. I don't want to see us, saying, oh, well, we played kind of well, we'll continue doing what we're doing, yeah, this is kind of working, we'll hope we get a goal. I like seeing our coach deciding, hey, no, we are changing things now, because what that first half performance that you've showed me is just not good enough. And obviously he alluded to this in his interviews, that he rather put the belt to the players in the dressing room, and rightfully so, because it wasn't a good performance from them, and it was clearly not what he was asking for from the get-go, and he rightfully decided to change things. And again, that's what I want to see from my coach. I want to see my head coach impacting things with either tactical changes, substitutions, or just general team talks. And again, credit has to go to him, because I don't think if we had previous coaches that we've had at this club, i.e. Pochettino, that we would have been able to dig ourselves out of this kind of position. I think that this would have been a situation where we went one goal down, had half time, and then came out in the second half and didn't really have a reaction, kind of kept trying to play the same way and eventually would have faltered. That's not something that we do very often anymore, and it's a good thing to see that we've overcome those kind of hiccups that we've been having in previous years. So all credit goes to Enzo Maresca for getting us out of that situation in the first place. Now I'll put it to you guys to put down your grade down in the comments below. I'd love to hear if there's any players that I haven't mentioned that you think should have go into that position instead. For me, I'm going to be putting in Wesley Fofana. I think Like, he's the guy who really stood out to me as like the best player on the pitch. So I'm going to put Wes in there. Also great to see him obviously staying fit. You guys can vote for your grade down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave it a like. It really helps out the channel and me. And for more content like this, don't forget to subscribe as well. That's the best way to get these videos in your sub box and on your homepage. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever. And remember, football can be as simple as black and white.
Something ain't right, I'm drowning in the ocean. I'm still alive, but I feel the fall in my ocean. I lost the fight and now I'm finally floating, but I still try to hide my emotion. Who am I in pieces? I've been broken. It's black and white, but my eyes are finally